it's me, Quintina, again. So a few months ago,
It's been a while.
I saw this comment, and finally today I have the time to make a summary of one of the most important pieces in Plato's dialogue. Plato has approximately 30 dialogues. Yes, he's very talkative, in most of which Socrates is the main character. Symposium was one of the dialogue, and if you want a summary of it, it's somewhere right here. And today we are going to talk about the apology. So from the title, you may think that, oh, it's Socrates apologizing for something.
That is not correct. Because according to the Encyclopedia of...
In ancient Greece, the word apologia means speaking in defense. So in some translations, this book's title would be like Socrates' Defense, or they're actually the same book. So to conclude this book in one sentence, it would be like Socrates' defense against the charge of corrupting the youth
and impiety.
You may wonder, why is this book so important? And the reason is that, spoiler alert, Socrates died at the end. So this book is like his last speech before his death. Before talking about this book, I would like to share some important information first, and that is the justice system of ancient Greece. So the justice system of ancient Greece is actually a rudiment of the current justice system in the Western society. Because you can see the court was actually formed by jury, and to be a juror, you must be a male adult citizen in Athens. And you may think that, oh, then the jury is a bit like the 12 Angry Men.
That is not correct.
The number of jury can go up to 500 people. So it's more like 500 angry men. So anyone can bring a charge against anyone, and the judge was only there to keep orders. The sentence and the outcomes were decided by jury using the simple majority rules. And the jurors were selected by drawing lots. And in Socrates Trial, there were 500 people as the jurors. You can see how messy that would be. And I guess it's partly because Socrates was a very famous, infamous person at the time, and almost everyone wanted to attend his trial, wanted to see how he ends up. So right now we can finally talk about this book, and the first sentence goes like, "How you have felt, O man of Athens, at hearing the speeches of my accusers, I cannot tell. But I know that their persuasive words almost made me forget who I was, such was the effect of them. And yet they have hardly spoken a word of truth." So from the first sentence, you can see that Socrates was actually a very sarcastic person. And he denied everything that was put against him in the very beginning. Well, technically, Socrates was not a teacher, because all he does every day is that he walks on a street and asks people questions to make them think that they're stupid.
Why do noses run but feet smell? Oh my God.
And he certainly did not get paid for being sarcastic and demeaning. That's also why he's so infamous in Athens, because people just don't want to think that they're stupid.
Are you dumb?
To understand how unlikable he was, he says something like, "Man of Athens, this reputation of mine has come of a certain sort of wisdom, which I possess. If you ask me what kind of wisdom, I reply, such wisdom as is attainable by man, for to that extent I'm inclined to believe that I'm wise, whereas the persons of whom I was speaking have a superhuman wisdom."
I feel the need to say the F word now.
So you can see up to this point is only Socrates talking about how wise he is. Does he have any weakness of credit? And the answer is yes. So his weakness was the god of Delphi. Now I need to give you a short introduction of what Delphi is. And it was sacred precinct of Greece. So Greeks consider it as the center of the world, and it served as the seat of oracles, who was the spokesperson of the god Apollo. So when people they have a very important decision to make, they would go to Delphi and ask for Oriko's opinion. However, Oriko, she usually wouldn't give you a very straight answer. Like, she would tell you a riddle and you have to guess. But she would not lie to you. So right now, back to Socrates. Socrates' friend, Chaperon,
Chaerephon.
he went to Delphi and asked whether there was anyone wiser than Socrates. And the answer was like, no, there was no man wiser. And Socrates was very confused. But God never lies. So the best way that he could think of was to find someone who was wiser than him, so that he could prove to the god that the god was wrong. So he first selected a politician because politicians were considered very wise at the time. And of course, politician thinks that he's very wise.
Trust me, I'm like a smart person.
But he's not actually very wise, even though many people think that he's wise.
You know, and they ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
So after that, Socrates talks to other people like poets, artisans, and he had the same answer, and that is these people are not actually wise because they were all good workmen and they thought that they also knew all sort of high matters, and this defect in them overshadowed their wisdom. So the basically meaning is that these people are so good at what they are good at, and they feel like, oh, they know everything, but it's not true. And Socrates knows that he is wiser than these people because he knows that he's ignorant. So this kind of realization proves that he is wiser than these people. And then he finally understands the oracle. So the god does not mean that Socrates is the wisest man. He's more like a symbol. He means that everyone who knows their wisdom is worth nothing, like Socrates. It's wise. So Socrates is just an example for illustration. So the morale of this story is that we should all be humble, you know, just like what Kendrick Lamar said.
Be humble.
Right now is the real deal, and that is the accusations. So let's talk about the three accusers first. They were Meletus, Lycon, and Anytus. So they represent the poets, craftsmen, and rhetoricians. So these three careers were all very well respected at the time. And if you don't know what a rhetorician is, it's a bit like motivational speaker and also teacher. Like they teach people how to speak. Like they would teach politicians and lawyers how to persuade people or just how to be logical in your speech.
This is a tough hurricane, one of the wettest we've ever seen from the standpoint of water.
Meletus the poet, he accused Socrates of corrupting the youth and does not believe the gods of the state and has other new divinities of his own. So to address his first questions, Socrates asked Meletus, who are the improvers of the youth if you say that I'm the corruptors of youth? So Meletus answered that it's
a bunch of hookers and cocaine.
Oh, okay, that's not good.
it's the law and the judges and all senators and all members of the citizens' assembly, including the 500 people at the court. So Socrates replied that then every Athenian improves and elevates them, all with the exception of myself, and I alone am their corrupter. And Meletus was like,
Yeah.
So Socrates replied that, oh, happy indeed would be the condition of youth if they had one corrupter only, and all of the rest of the world were their improver. So for the second accusation, Socrates wants to clarify with Meletus that if he is being accused of not believing in the god of the state or just being a complete atheist in general. So Meletus thinks that Socrates is a complete atheist. That doesn't really make sense. If Socrates is an atheist, then why is he also accused of believing in the divinity of his own? So you can see that Meletus needs to hire a rhetorician. And Meletus also said that Socrates thinks that sun is the stone and moon is the earth. But the truth is, this idea was not from Socrates. It was from Anaxagoras, his script writer at the time. So Socrates, he then quote a story from Homeric epic Iliad. So the son of Thetis, he wanted to avenge his companion, but his mom warned him, if you do that, you will die too. Sounds very familiar, right? But his mom warned him, if you kill that person, you will die too. And of course, he died. But actually, he feared more of living in dishonor than just dying in general. So he chose to avenge, and of course, he died at the end.
I want to die.
And Socrates, he used the story to tell a message that he is not willing to stop or change his practice in order to save his own life, because he thinks that it's an act of dishonor and it's more painful than death itself. So I really enjoyed this quote, that it's, men of Athens, I honored and love you, but I shall obey God rather than you, and while I have life and strength. I shall never cease from the practice and teaching of philosophy, exhorting to anyone whom I meet after my manner. Well, that's very touching. And you can see that Socrates is willing to sacrifice his life in the course of teaching.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
People accused him of not believing in God. It's such a nonsense, because he's the one who believes in God the most.
Do you believe in God?
So people often ask me, do you believe in God? Which I don't like that question. And the reason I don't like to answer it is because A, I don't like to be boxed in, and B, because I don't know what the person means by believe or God. And they think they know. And the probability that they construe belief and construe God the same way I do is virtually zero.
After everything Socrates said, so touching, what does the jury think? Well, the jury finds Socrates, drumroll, guilty. Am I surprised? No. Was Socrates surprised? No. And the actual figure was 281 people found Socrates guilty, and 220 found Socrates not guilty. So Socrates is now found guilty, and what about his sentence? So Socrates proposed a few things. So he first said something like, okay, so can you guys just like find me, you know, like I will just pay a few $1,000. But the thing is, just like what I've mentioned, Socrates was technically unemployed.
Okay. Stop attacking me. I'm sick of it.
Get a job.
All he does every day is walks on the street and asks people questions, and of course he has no money. So what he said was like, Critobulus and Apollodorus, and these people are his friends and students, and these people would be my sureties. So basically, he's asking his friends to pay $1,000 for him, because they are, some of them are very rich. The other thing he proposed is that he should be sent to Prytaneum. If you don't know what Prytaneum is, it was an official residence of the Archons. So basically, what Socrates proposed is like, he wants to solve everything by fines that is actually paid by his friends, and also he wants to live in a White House.
The hell?
What does the jury think then? Of course, the jury condemned Socrates to death.
That's what she deserves.
I'm not surprised again, because all he does in this whole speech is being very annoying and irritating. And of course this jury does not like him. But that's also why this character is so charming, because it's willing to speak the truth. Like, it's not afraid of bureaucracy, he's not afraid of taking the consequences that speaking the truth may bring.
There's nothing wrong with my views or beliefs because I have freedom of speech and everything I'm saying is true.
as Socrates is condemned to death right now, let's have a look on his view on death itself. So actually, Socrates is not afraid of death. He thinks that it's either a state of unconsciousness or just a soul migrates from this world to another. If it's like a state of unconsciousness, then it would be like an undisturbed sleep. So death would be an unspeakable gain. If it's like the latter, then it's even better, because if that's the case, then he can talk to people like Orpheus, Messias, Hesiod, and Homer. Then if that's the case, he would rather die and die again. You can see that not only does he not afraid of death, he is looking forward to that.
I want to die.
I would like to end this video with the last sentence of this book. The hour of departure has arrived, and we go our ways. I to die, and you to live. Which is better? God only knows. See you in next video. Bye.